Hey guys, what's up? I guess it's been a minute since I recorded one of these videos, but same thing goes as the rest of them. I'm going to try and do this in one take, so I hope you guys enjoy these stories. Again, I just got my news journal here from when I was traveling. This is a bit of a throwback, so I'm going back to South America, going to Chile in October. It's been 2.5, 3 years since I've been down in South America, and I thought I would bang out all my last travel adventure stories before I headed over there. So here goes nothing. Obviously the last trip that I was down there for, down in 2015, I landed in Lima, Peru on October 23rd, and I'm just gonna read the snippet. I read it quickly here before I hopped on this video, and I just want to read the snippet that I put in my journal because I think it summarizes what I felt like that time when I just landed in a whole new continent, had no idea what to expect, and the mindset that I was in back in 2015. Clearly. So I'm just going to read it out here. As I recall from my first moments in South America was the instant realization that even in the big cities there was enormous poverty. Arriving at 2 a.m. didn't help with the image because everything was dark and depressing, but once the sun rose I realized that there was sun here. Lima was constantly covered, there was no sun. There was really no sun there because it was constantly covered in cloud. Maybe it was a smog, but it made the city really unappealing. But it only took me 10 hours for my first adventure to begin, because I was trying to check out on my first hostel. I had the sad realization that I had lost my bank card, and I hadn't even seen an ATM yet. I was sitting there, stressing out about where my bank card could have gone. My stress levels definitely peaked at the point where my brain started just pounding through potential solutions. So I set up my Skype account, I called MasterCard, and I got BMO on the call, and I got the fantastic news that the operator just had to set up my credit card as a bank card, and boom, I was set. That was super huge. I mean, first day, lost my bank card, had no idea how I was going to get cash out, and all of a sudden I got this great news that, MasterCard and BMO could work together, and they could basically just turn my credit card into a bank card. So I'm not sure if that's going to be relevant information to you guys, but for me that was a huge upbring, because basically I spent the rest of my day after that transitioning into my new hostel and settling in. In the evening, I planned to do research for my trip and see how I was going to, make it to Peru, Colombia, Chile, Antarctica, Argentina, and plan all my 2 months in South America. But it didn't really take me very long to realize and get my head in a grasp around that I wouldn't be taking the trip that I was actually planning on taking. So, I mean, when you think about it, I landed in Peru on October 23rd. I was trying to get home for Christmas 2 months later, and I wanted to go to Peru, Colombia, Chile, Antarctica, and Argentina. And you just realize that South America is like humongous. So I remember my emotions were just all over the place all night, highs and lows, and I realized I need to basically rethink my entire trip. And as you see, things turned out to work one way or another, and off I was on a new spontaneous adventure. So the next day I went down to the beach and I had my first big day of surfing. I spent a few hours just kind of looking at some of the beach waves around Peru. I bust up and down the coastline to see the different spots to surf, and I found Pete's Surf School. I don't remember the region it ended up being in, but it was an amazing experience. But it was super exhausting. I remember I'd never surfed before, and I was like completely exhausted after about an hour and a half lesson and successfully getting up for the first time, and about 6 or 7 times after that. I spent the afternoon hanging out at the hostel. I met this couple who was traveling from Toronto. They had actually just moved out of Toronto. They had sold basically their entire lives to go travel and enjoy the journey of traveling around South America. So we talked endlessly about the life decisions that they were making at the time, and endlessly really about abundance mentality versus scarcity mentality and taking control of your life. So it was just a really great way to take that trip that in that first few days that was really just detrimental for me, thinking that the whole trip was going into shambles because I wasn't going to be doing the things that I wanted to do, and realizing that everything was going to be okay as long as I just used my right mindset. And so the mindset conversation that I had with this girl and her husband right away just basically reset my entire internal clock and allowed me to really embrace what was about to happen on this journey. And the next evening we continued hanging out at the hostel, and I was just resettling into what was going to be happening for the next 2 months. We basically went out for dinner along the street carts in Lima there with a German, a Belgian, and then the 4 Canadians that we were. So I think that was pretty much like the highlights of that Lima experience. I do remember really well staying at this hostel right in the middle of the downtown core of Lima, and it was really loud and noisy, and it was really dirty, and I had never really been to a South American country before, so I wasn't really sure what to expect. And so I got really a lot of culture shock, I would say, right off the beginning, which I thought was kind of normal. But then on top of that, obviously I had all the news around the expectations and the mentality and the mindset that I brought into the trip. And that was really like a shocking experience for me. I mean, very naive for me to think that in 2 months I was going to be traveling all of South America, and that's why I'm actually going back. But I think that learning lesson of being able to just adapt that travel plan completely, and as you'll see, my trip turned out to be great. So it was really awesome just sharing this quick little story with you guys, and I'm going to be planning on posting at least one of these a week until up to my trip that I head out to Chile, so I can, continue to capture these memories and really owe it to myself, because that's why I started doing these videos, was so I could have stories to tell down the road when I wasn't able to remember these as well as I could. So 3 years later, I apologize. It took me a long time to get to these videos on South America, but here I am talking about them now, and I really hope you guys appreciate it. I know I'm going to appreciate these in the future. So ciao guys, hope you guys are having a great day.